You guys have a good wellness day? Did you do something fun or did you work?
I didn't do any work.
You didn't do any work, good for you.
What about you?
I graded cases. But you know what, that's what I said, and it took me all day long, right? But you know what, in the end of the day, I was like, okay, that was, it's done. So, so that was a good thing too. One thing that I was thinking, I don't have time to do all, 202 of those grades, but, so it's good that they're done. And actually on that note, all of the grades are posted. So, so at this point, everything is updated. So if you look at your case grades, that is the average of the two. So you can go into the assignment, you can see your number, and then under the exam 2 folder, just like I did with exam 1 for that first case, you can go in and you can see what the number, how the number translated into a grade. And then what's posted on gradebook is the average of those 2 cases. So that is important for you to also double check and make sure that I don't have a cut and paste error or anything like that. What else is up there? So again, the poll questions and your class contribution is all up to date as well. So again, under the exam 2 folder, I have the explanation of all of that and then averaged in as well. So if you're looking at that and you think I made an error, absolutely make sure that you contact me and let me know, and I can go back and look again. So like I said, I think we're in the final stretch here. So we are still working on master budgets here. So I just want to kind of give you a heads up. So there are some people that for this case, the last case especially, did not do very well on the case, or some people missed the first case, you know, just kind of, I don't know, whatever happened, miscommunication, wasn't quite sure. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give one more case for kind of like a makeup, but it is not for full credit, right? So if you did 70, well, actually, if you did less than, or if your grade was under a 75, then what you can do is this additional case that I'm gonna give you. So this additional case will be a full master budget. So when we're done with this, it'll be up, like I said, it's mostly for the people that missed one, you know, so they don't have a 0 getting averaged in, or somebody that just had, you know, whatever, there were people, you know, I get of the 202, there's always somebody that this happened and I couldn't do this, or this happened, and, you know, and those things in life just do happen. So if you were not happy with your grade, you do have the opportunity to redo this case. I mean, it's not fair to give you full credit for it because everybody else actually did do the work, but you don't want a 0 averaged in, or, you know, so that will be an opportunity for you if you need it. So more on that after we finish this chapter. Okay. Anybody questions? Everybody's good, ma'am?
Sorry, just to clarify, so we don't, does everyone do the case, or is it only people that have?
No, it'll be, so you're the most you're gonna get is a 75 on it. So if you have done the other 2 and you've done well, you don't, I mean, you still want to look at it, right? So anytime I give you an assignment, I think it's good to look at it, but you wouldn't want to submit it to me.
Will you like post the answers after, like, for your sample one to study for the final?
Yes, for this
Okay.
one I will.
Okay.
Yep, because we won't be covering it in class.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, good. Any other questions?
Someone put something in the chat.
Ah. Yep. Do we post the final exam date? Yes, the final exam date is posted. Actually, that's a good question because the final exam is Wednesday night, which is the 6th. I don't know. What is it?
I think it's the 6th.
The 6th. So it is the 6th at 6 p.m. It should be posted. Yep, it is the 6th. And then for my Zoom people that are, you know, if that's in the middle of the night for you, or if you are in a position where you have 3 exams in the same day, the following morning at 8 a.m. will be for the people that are, I don't want you taking the exam at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So the following day at 8 a.m. is where those people will then go in and take the exam. Okay. Good question. Okay. All right, so we ready to get back into master budgets? It's been a long time since Monday. So what I have up here, remember, is the order of preparation for this master budget. This is the operational budget broken down into quarters. And if you remember also, what I would like to have in front of you is maybe this to see where we're going and where we've been, and then also the data for Royal Company. So under the Chapter 5 folder, I also have this whole data set up for you so that you can kind of consider this one big, long master budget problem. And then the case is also going to be one long master budget problem. So last Monday, we did our sales budget and we did our cash collections from sales. Remember, the order of preparation is 1 accrual basis, 1 cash basis. We have all of these supporting schedules for the purpose of, in the end, preparing a cash budget. The cash budget, as I said last class, is what most CFOs are looking for when they're doing these master budgets, because it is going to help you figure out how much cash you need to have on hand in order to pay your bills, which is not easy to do because all of your accounting is on the accrual basis. So you're going to get the cash budget by summarizing these cash schedules, and then you're going to have an income statement and a balance sheet dated 3 months from now. All of the numbers for those 3 things are going to come from these supporting schedules that we are preparing. So we did our sales budget, the sales that we're expecting to earn, those will go to the income statement. And then we did our cash collections from sales, which is going to be the money that is coming in to our company cash dollars. going to that cash budget. And then from here also, we have calculated accounts receivable for the balance sheet. So I have it set up so that you can kind of see where the schedules are going to be going when we are preparing our cash budget, income statement, and balance sheet. Okay, so this is where we left off. We did a few different practices, bad debt, right? Not collecting everything, collected over multiple months. So now we're going to get into our production budget. So if you're a merchandising company, then you would prepare an inventory purchase budget. From your projected sales, now you have to figure out how much inventory you need to either buy or produce. If you're a manufacturing company, you prepare a production budget, and then you're going to have to figure out materials, labor, and overhead for the units that you need to produce. If you are a merchandising company, it's much easier. All you do is buy your inventory, and you have to figure out what you have to buy in order to cover those projected sales. We're doing manufacturing. It's much more difficult than merchandising, but after we're all done, I'm going to show you how to do a merchandising company as well. Okay, so hold off on this inventory purchase budget because Royal is a manufacturing company, and now we have to figure out how much inventory we need to make in order to cover those sales that we have projected to earn.
Is that like the retail side of like the chapter? The
Yes.
merchandising? Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
Yeah. And I don't want to go all the way up here. Okay, all right, so we finished our sales budgets and cash collections from sales on Monday. So now we are moving on to our production budget. The production budget is going to tell you how much inventory you need to make in order to cover those projected sales. So what you want to have in front of you is Royal Company's data, because remember, I've already given you the projected sales. And now we're going to move into the production budget, which is inventory to make in order to cover those projected sales. All right, so here's the idea behind the production budget. You're going to start off with the units that you need for sales, right? If you have a projected sales in units, then you know you're going to have to make those units. But you don't want to just make those units. What you're going to do is you're going to want to add desired ending inventory. You can think about this as your safety stock, right? This is a projection. I put a lot of time and effort into what I think my sales are going to be. But if my sales actually are a little bit more than this, I don't want to run out of inventory. I'm not expecting to need it. I'm expecting it to be left over, but I'm buying it just in case, or making it in this case in here, just in case. So I want to make what I need, I know I need, plus what I should have left over, but it's safety stock. All right, so that's everything that I'm going to need to produce. Those are the units I'm going to produce. And then you're going to say, well, hold on a second. This is what I need this month, but do I have any left over from last month? Because if I have inventory left over from last month, then I don't have to make everything that I need. So you can subtract out what you already have, and that will be the units that you're going to produce. So this is the general idea behind this, the whole schedule that I'm going to show you here. Okay. All right, so here's the data that I gave you about the production budget. Management at Royal Company wants ending inventory to be equal to 20% of the following month's budgeted sales in units. On March 31st, 4,000 units were on hand, and let's prepare the production budget. And as you can see down here, if Royal was a merchandising company, they would be preparing a merchandise purchase budget, which is a little bit different. It's done in dollars because you're buying the inventory and you're not trying to figure out units to make. Okay, but I'll do that all at the end. Okay, so your policy for your ending inventory is to buy 20% of the following month's budgeted sales in units. Remember, we are doing the budget, the master budget for the second quarter. So we are projecting out April, May, and June. So they're telling you today you still have 4,000 units on hand, right? These are the units that you have left over from this month, which is March, and today is March 31st. Right, so what you want to do is go back and look at that sales budget, right? If you're looking at the sales data for Royal Company, remember these are the units that you were projecting to sell for April, for May, and for June. So right off the bat, you know that you're going to need to make those units if that's what you're projecting to sell. Then what you want to do is add your safety stock. I don't want to just make exactly what I need because this is just a projection. I'm going to make a little bit more. It should be left over. It's ending inventory. It's a just in case safety stock. So the policy here is to buy 20% of the next month's sales in units that we're expecting to need. So if I'm looking here, I'm taking the 50,000 of the next month and I am multiplying it by 20%. And so you can see that my ending inventory is going to be an extra 10,000 units. 20 to cover my projected sales, and then 20% of next month's projected sales. So the total that I'm going to need is going to be 30,000. 20 is what I'm expecting to sell. I should have 10,000 left over. So I need 30. And then I just told you that I still have 4,000 units left over from this month. Today's March 31st. So what I'm showing you down here is that I gave you that number, but I may not always give you this number. So you can also usually calculate these 4,000 units because ending inventory from March should be beginning inventory for April, right? And if I was going to calculate my desired ending inventory for March, it would have been 20% of April's projected sales, right? Ending inventory is 20% of the following month's sales needs, and 20% of 20,000 is 4,000. Does that make sense?
Can you say it one more time?
Yep. If you had a March date right over here, and you were calculating desired ending inventory for March, it would be 20% of April's sales, just like April is 20% of May. May will be 20% of June. And then your ending inventory becomes your beginning inventory for the next month, right? You're not expecting to need this. You're expecting to have it left over. So it should be available for you in May. Questions on these numbers? Okay, so what is the required production for May? I'll put it back. Can you just pull that down?
We always assume that that they didn't have to use the safety stock.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, because that's your projection,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
Professor.
yeah,
Yep. So how do we figure out the beginning inventory for May?
whatever you end up with April should be beginning inventory for May.
I'm sorry?
Whatever you finish with April should be beginning for May, right? So that's what I was showing you over here. Ending inventory for March would be the beginning for April.
Oh, right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna give you 5 more seconds. Okay, so let's go over it. Time to submit if you want your participation. Oops. Okay, so 67%. Let's take a look. All right, so 67% said the correct answer. So let's go through it and see how we got that number. So you start with the units that you're expecting to sell. You know you're going to have to make those. Then you're going to add your safety stock, your ending inventory, which should be 20% of the next month's sales needs. So 20% of 30,000 is 6,000. So that means you need 56, but you won't have to buy or make all of that because you're going to have 10,000 left over from April. So what you're going to need to produce is 46,000 units. Okay. Does it make sense? All right, so let me show you how to do the quarter total. You won't be asked this on the exam. I shouldn't say that because I don't make up the exam. But I've never seen it asked, but on your homework, you're going to have to do it. And I don't want you to be pulling your hair out trying to figure this out. Right, so for the quarter total, what you're saying is for the entire quarter, this is the inventory I need to produce. So you're going to start with your budgeted sales and you'll add them all up. For the whole quarter, I need to make 100,000 units because this is what I'm expecting to sell. Then you're going to add your ending inventory. But remember, it's for the whole quarter. So at the end of the quarter, you have 5,000 units that you want to have at the end of the quarter. So you're going to add those two up, and that will be the total that you need for the whole quarter. And then you're going to subtract out your beginning inventory, which is the beginning inventory at the beginning of the quarter. So it's not just adding everything up. You have to think about it in terms of the whole quarter.
Can you repeat it to total needs?
Total needs is just adding what you're expecting to sell plus what you want to have left over. Are you talking about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, what you're expecting to sell plus what you want to have left over. And now you can see why in the data I gave you July sales, right? So remember, you're looking at a master budget for April, May, and June, but actually you're going to need July and August, as you see as we go along, in order to do the full master budget, right? So in order to do your ending inventory for June, you need that data back from the sales budget and take 20% of it. Okay, is everybody good with the production budget? All right, take a note of these numbers because now that we know how many units we need to produce, if you're thinking about the order of preparation here, now I'm going to need to buy the materials to make these units. I have to figure out the labor and I have to figure out the overhead, right? So now I'm going to be able to, and then also as we do each one of those schedules, the cash disbursements for materials, the cash disbursements for labor, and the cash disbursements for overhead. Okay, so in April, I need to produce 26,000 units. Oh, never mind. We're going to do a little practice. One more for the road. So Nicholas Cycles manufactures chainless bicycles. On March 31st, Nicholas Cycles had 100 bikes in inventory. I may or may not give you that number, right? So here I am giving it to you, but you should be able to calculate ending inventory, beginning inventory, because it should be the ending inventory from the prior month, for the previous month. The company has a policy that the ending inventory in any month should be 10% of the following month's expected sales. Nicholas Cycles expects to sell the following number of bikes in each of the next 4 months. So I'm asking you for a production budget for the second quarter with a column for each month and for the quarter in total. April, May, and June would be quarter number 2. So in April, I know that I'm expecting to sell 1,000 bikes. So I know I need to produce those 1,000 bikes. But then what I want to do is add my safety stock, which is going to be now 10% of May's expected sales, which would be 117. If I add those two together, that is what I'm expecting to produce, or what I want to produce. But then I want to say, do I have any left over from last month? And the answer is yes, I have 100 bikes left over. But you could say back in March, if I'm looking at my ending inventory, it would be 10% of April's projected sales, which would be 100, right? So I may give this to you, or I may not give this to you. All right, sales given, right, 1,000. The sales were also given in May for 1,117, and the ending inventory policy is 10% of the following month's sales. The total that I'm going to need is adding those two up. I need to produce not only what I'm expecting to sell, but what I want to have left over. So I need to produce 1,117 units of product, but I don't have to make all of those because I have 100 left over from this month or last month. So I can back that out, and I have the units that I'm going to be producing. Here's your May production. In order to figure out your desired ending inventory, you're going to need to look at June's. Manna.
Sorry, was the 100 given?
It was, but I don't have to give it to you. So if I didn't give it to you, can you calculate it? That's actually because,
Oh, so it's the 10%.
right, if you had March over here, then the ending inventory would have been 10% of April, which is 100.
Oh,
And then also remember, ending inventory for April is your beginning inventory for May. Okay. And this is why they gave you July. So for the quarter, you're adding it all up, right? So I'm trying to figure out the units I'm going to sell, and I'm going to add all of those up. It's 3,530 units. What's my desired ending inventory for the quarter? Yeah,
125.
125. So I'm going to add that to my budgeted sales, and that's what. And what is my beginning inventory for the quarter? Paige.
I had a question actually.
Okay.
Where did the 125 come from June?
In the problem, they told you that July's projected sales were 1,250 bikes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you have to be given, just like in Royal Company, I gave you not only the projected sales for April, May, and June, I also gave you July and August, because you need that in order to do your production budget and then the materials budget.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so what is my beginning inventory for the quarter? Louise?
100.
100, good. At the beginning of the quarter, we started with 100 units. And so the units that I'm going to produce for the entire quarter, now you can add them all up, are going to be 3,550, or you can work it the little Sudoku puzzle, subtracting out the 100. All right, now we're going to move back to Royal, and we are going to do our material purchase budget. So the production budget is done, and we're moving on to direct materials. So when you're trying to figure out the material budget, you're gonna start with that production budget. Remember, in April, we said we were gonna produce 26,000 units. So I'm gonna start with that. I'm gonna look at the amount of units that I have to make, and then I'm going to add my desired ending inventory, right? So I'm gonna take the quantity of materials that I'm gonna need to make those units. Then also, I'm gonna add my desired ending inventory, right? So I wanna buy enough material for what I'm gonna make. But again, I don't want to buy just that amount of material. I want to have some left over in case maybe some of it is bad or I have to throw some of it away. So a lot of things can happen. I'm expecting to have it left over, but just in case, safety stock here as well. So that's going to be the total material that I'm going to need. And then I'm going to say, do I have any raw materials left over from last month? So I can subtract it out. And that will be what I'm going to purchase. Okay, so let's start with the production budget. So here's what you need to know about the material budget. At Royal Company, 5 pounds of material are required for each unit of product. Each management wants materials on hand at the end of each month equal to 10% of the following month's production. And on March 31st, 13,000 pounds of material are on hand, and the material costs 40 cents per pound. So again, I may give you that beginning inventory, or I may not give you that beginning inventory. You should be able to calculate it. Okay, so if we're going to prepare the direct materials budget, like I said, you have to go to the production budget first. I'm planning on making 26,000 units in April, 46,000 units in May, and 29,000 units in June. So, yep, man.
Sorry, could you go back to that?
Yeah. Yeah, so what you want to have, Manna, the data sheet in front of you,
Oh,
right? So if you open, it says under chapter 5, Royal Data, I forget what it says, information. You'll have everything in front of you, the sales, the all of the information about ending inventory, all of that is in front of you.
oh, is it the Royal company like that word document?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. Okay, but this is what you need for the production budget. Each one of the units you're going to make requires 5 pounds of material. And then you want your ending inventory to be 10% now of the following month's material needs. And you're going to buy that material for 40 cents per pound. Okay, so starting in April, I know I'm going to make 26,000 units. So what I need to do is figure out how much material I'm going to need to make those 26,000 units. So I'm going to start off by looking at each one needing 5 pounds of material. So I'm taking those units and I'm going into pounds here. If I'm going to make these 26,000 units, I'm going to need 130,000 pounds of material. Right, so I know I'm going to need to buy that, but remember now I'm going to go for my safety stock. And this company's policy is to buy 10% of the following month's needs. So 10% is a nice, easy number, which is the 23. If I add the 130,000 pounds plus the extra safety stock of another 23,000 pounds, the total material that I'm going to need is 153,000 pounds. I don't have to buy all of that because the problem told me that I still have 13,000 pounds left over from last month. But if I'm looking at March, I could calculate this because my ending inventory for March would be 10% of April's production needs, which would be 13,000 pounds. Okay, so I need 153,000 pounds. I have 13,000 pounds already on hand. which means I'm gonna have to buy 140,000 pounds of whatever material we're looking at here. Okay. Is everybody good with this? Okay, are you doing this? Now, why don't you calculate the materials to be purchased in May? Okay, 10 more seconds. Okay, all right, so last chance to answer a question. Let's see how you did. Okay, so again, a little bit lost now. 62% said A. So A is the right answer. So again, let's go through how we're going to get the 221.5. So you know that you are, from your production budget in May, you are expecting to produce 46,000 units, and each one requires 5 pounds of material. So you're going to need 230,000 pounds of material in order to make all of those 46,000 units you're expecting to produce. Then you're going to add 10% of the following month's material needs. And then your ending inventory for April becomes your beginning inventory for May. The same idea as the production budget, except you're moving it into pounds of material. So I need 244.5, but I should have 23,000 pounds left over from April, which means I'm going to need to purchase 221,500 pounds of material in May. Questions? Is this a lot for a Monday? Master budgeting, I did tell you it was pretty tedious, right? But it's fun when you get, well, forget it. It can be fun, maybe not on a Monday. So to finish this up, so you're going to do the same thing for June, right? You're going to need July's. This is why you're going to need July and August sales. Right, so here, when you're looking at the pounds, your desired ending inventory, you're going to have to look at July, and you're going to have to figure out your production budget, right? So you're going to have to go back to your production budget, figure out how much you're going to produce in July, which is why you need August, because you need ending inventory for July. So if you go through and you do that case that I'm gonna give you, you can see on the template that I'm gonna post, I have that production budget out there for an extra 2 months for a reason. Right, so all of the numbers are sort of needed. You don't have to worry about that for your exam. The exam is gonna be more like how much material will you purchase in April? Or what will be your material purchase in May, right? But to do the full master budget, you do have to project out a little bit further. And then again, for that quarter total, it's just like the production budget. Your ending inventory for the whole quarter will be what you have at the end of June. And then your beginning inventory from the beginning of the quarter was April. Okay, so this is what I'm buying. What's the next schedule? Right, keeping in mind the order of production, what do I want to do next? Say it again. Before you do labor, what do I want to do next, Michael?
Overhead?
Nope. Anybody have that order of production in front of them? Jada?
The cash disbursements for inventory.
Yes, right. So this is my purchase, but you know, when you call up and say, hello, this is Royal, could I please buy 140,000 pounds of material? They're going to say, sure. So they're going to say, pay me half today and I'll pay me the other half next month, or I'm going to invoice it and then you can pay it all next month. I need to figure out how I'm going to pay for this, because I need to do a cash budget where I'm trying to figure out the money that I'm going to need to pay for my material purchases. Right, so I may be buying 140,000, but that does not necessarily mean that that's the money that's going to be leaving my hands for that purchase. So I know I pay 40 cents per pound for materials. And now I'm telling you, 1/2 of a month's purchase is paid for in the month of the purchase, and the other half is paid in the following month. And the March 31st accounts payable balance is $12,000. So if we're going to figure out the money that is leaving my hands in April, May, and June, so what you want to think about is, okay, in April, if I have to buy inventory and pay half, when I look at this accounts payable balance, accounts payable represents inventory that I have purchased but haven't paid for yet. Right, so today is March 31st. This must be the other half of what I bought back in March. Right, in March I would have done the same thing. I would have called up, ordered materials. They would have said pay half of it and you can pay me the other half the next month. So based on this information right here, this $12,000 will have to be paid in April. Does that make sense? Okay. And then I have to figure out or pay half of what I'm buying, which is the 140,000 pounds in April, because I have to pay half of that as well. All right, so my cash disbursements, I have to finish paying what I bought back in March, and I'm going to see that money. I need the 12,000 in April. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at those 140,000 pounds that I need to purchase in April. And so the amount that I'm going to be paying for those 140,000 pounds is $56,000, because I have to buy that material at 40 cents per pound. So when am I going to need the money? In order for them to ship it to me, I'm going to have to pay half. So half of that 56,000 will be paid in April, and the other half will be paid in May. This is when I'm going to need the money for those purchases. When I look at my May purchases, if you go back into the schedule, I need to buy 221,500 pounds of material, again at 40 cents per pound. That means the total cost of that material is $88,600. Half of it will be paid when I make that purchase, and the other half will be paid in June, which is the following month. And then in June, we said we were gonna buy 142,000 pounds of material, which is gonna cost us $56,800. Half of it is going to be paid in June. And when is the other half gonna get paid? Not until July. So just like when we were doing our cash collections from sales and we recorded accounts receivable on June 30th, this is where you're going to calculate your balance sheet item accounts payable. Accounts payable is any inventory that you purchased but haven't paid for yet. So you want to make a note on this schedule, or if you're asked on the exam, what's accounts payable? You know you're going to have to look at that material budget and figure out the cash disbursements for that material. And that would be the other half, and that's going to the balance sheet. Right, so thinking about the order of preparation, you're using these cash budgets. So this is the money that I'm going to need in April, half of March, half of April. So this is the dollars that I'm going to need. This is going to the cash budget, summing up my cash position, and then this number is going to the balance sheet. Make sense? Okay, any questions? Okay, let's try. Breadmaster produces organic bread that is sold by the loaf. Each loaf requires a half a pound of flour. The bakery pays $2 per pound for the organic flour used in its loaves, and the bakery expects to produce the following number of loaves in each of the upcoming months. Right, so this question is asking you to prepare the direct materials budget for the third quarter. Right, so the third quarter is going to be July, August, and September here. So if I'm going to make 1,540 loaves, this is from the production budget, right? From the production budget, we would have said, based on our projected sales, here are the loaves that I need to make in July. So now I have to figure out the flour that I'm going to need to buy in the month of July. The bakery has a policy that it will have 20% of the following month's flour needs on hand at the end of each month. So that's going to be your ending inventory. So if I'm looking at July, I'm going to figure out the flour that I need. Then I'm going to figure out the flour that I need for August and then take 20% of that. That will be my ending inventory. At the end of June, there were 154 pounds of flour on hand. So that would be your beginning, but again, you should be able to calculate that number and prepare the direct material budget for the third quarter with a column for each month and for the quarter. Okay, so let's start with July. So July, they told you that you are, from the production budget, expecting to make 1,540 loaves of bread. I also know that each one of those loaves takes a half a pound of flour. So the first thing you have to do is take the production budget and put that into material. So I would need to buy 770 pounds of flour in order to make 1,540 loaves of bread. Then I'm going to go to my desired ending inventory, which is going to be 20% of August flour needs. So if this is what you're going to produce in August and you need a half a pound of flour for each one of those units, then you're going to need 910 pounds of flour. 20% of that is your ending inventory for July. Okay, on this one. The total that I'm going to need is the total of these two added together. And then I know that I don't have to buy all of that because I told you that we had 154 pounds of flour left over from the last month, or you could take 20% of the 770 and get the same 154. Okay, so I need 798 pounds of flour. I'm gonna buy that flour for $2 a pound, which means my purchase will be $1,596. Right, so in order to get my ending inventory for August, I'm gonna need to figure out September flour needs. So if I'm gonna produce 1,660 units or loaves of bread here, and each one requires a half a pound, that means that my ending inventory is 20% of September flour needs for 166 pounds. Total I need is adding these two up. I don't have to buy all of that because what I'm expecting to have left over from July is what I should be starting August with. So I can subtract out the 182. I'm going to be buying $8.94 at $2 per pound, and this is my purchase. Do you want to tell me, this isn't a poll question, but do you want to do September? Tell me what the total material purchases are going to be for September. And I won't, so you also need to know, I know it's in the problem before that, but for October, we're going to make 1,460 loaves. Andy, what'd you get?
The total cost would be 1,620.
Yep, that is right. Is that what you got, Michael? Okay. Good. Perfect. So if I am looking at my ending inventory, you need to know, like I said, what you were going to make in October, right? In October, if you were going to make 1,460 loaves of bread, you'd have to multiply that by the half a pound of flour that you're going to need for each one of those loaves, and then multiply it by 20%. So that would be the total that I need, right? What I'm expecting, the flour that I need for what I'm going to produce, plus what I want to have left over. So I'm going to need 976, but I don't have to buy all of that because I should have 166 pounds left over from August. So I can back that out, and there's my purchase, and at a cost of $2 per pound, I'm going to need to buy 1,620 pounds of flour. All right. Questions on the numbers? All right, so let's just do the quarter total. Total units to be produced, you can add them all up, and each one of those units is going to require a half a pound of flour. So for the whole quarter, you're going to want to buy 2,510 pounds of flour. Right. Ending inventory for the whole quarter is 146. You add that to what you need, and that's the total for what you need, and that's the total that you're going to want to purchase, except that, do you have any from the beginning of the whole quarter, which is going back to July, which is 154. Okay. So you subtract that out and you get 2,502 pounds at $2 per pound. For the whole quarter, it's $5,004. Okay, so we're going to stop here. I apologize. It's a lot for a Monday morning. As I said, it's tedious. I hope you looked at this And so you're gonna get the idea that this is just practice, right? It's gonna be the same thing over and over and over again. Do not wait until it's time to take that final exam to go back and do this. You're gonna get in, do the homework and practice this so that you're able to do these schedules over and over and over again. Okay, so I will see you on Monday and we will continue the fun with our labor and overhead. See you later. I'm cold for state boys today, isn't it? Yeah, it looks so nice outside.
So Professor, so like I don't know like how I can sign up your office hours through the question 2.
So under question tools, there is a tab that's called sign up.
Okay.
If you want, well, yeah, hold on, I probably bumped out, but let me do this. Thank you.
Yeah, I can see the available time for the office hour.
See it?
Thank you.
Okay. See you later.
Yeah, thank you, Professor.
Okay.